Okay.
And recording has started, so thank you very much, and go ahead, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I'm Assaf. I'm a product manager at MCAS, Cloud Obscurity, and I'm owning the fraud protection and UBA pillars of the product. And I'm here because Steve asked me to talk about alerts and tips how to tune MCAS alerts in a better way. So that will be the presentation. The main topics are decreasing noise, using M365D and incidents, the investigation priority concept, and a bit of what's upcoming in this area. And as Steve said, I'm Israeli, and we just not as polite as you. So if you want to ask anything and say something, so don't raise your hand, just ask. So first thing is the decreasing noise, and I'm not sure, but I guess most of you suffer from a lot of false positives, and we will talk about our number one in the amount of alerts, which is impossible travel, and we'll suggest ways to improve the SNR of the alert. So impossible travel is challenged by today's work style. I mean, if you will work from one place, no VPN, from the office, it will be quite simple. But since we have VPNs in the picture, and it may confuse and create like a sort of impossible travel preferences, but it's not really a travel. So what we plan to do, what we recommend to do, is just to tell you, well, if you have a VPN, and I mean a lot of customers tag their corporate IP as corporate IP, which is okay, but it's like it's good for the IP if it's used only for physical connection. But if you have users connecting through VPN, and actually the connection to the cloud applications are going through the internet from the corporate IP, so it's not just a pure physical IP. And we recommend tagging it as a VPN. And this will result no impossible travels from this IP. Actually, what it means is that we don't want this IP to be regarded as physical location. So this is how we do it. We go to the settings on the top right side and choose the IP settings, and take the IP that is used for the VPN and tag it as VPN. It's that simple. It reduces a lot of noise. Any questions about that?
Yeah, I have a question around that. If the VPN IP range is the same as, or is a subset of the corporate, wouldn't this labeling as corporate cover the same kind of goal?
So no, corporate is actually regarded as like physical location. I mean, if you have like if you work from the office, for example, and someone connects from an IP in the other side of the world at practically the same time, or just minutes difference, we say if you tag it as corporate, you mean you're physically there. But if it's used for remote connections, you're not physically there, tag it as VPN.
Okay, so it's a trusted, something outside your internal range, but it's external, but you trust it. So this is a way of marking that you trust this IP range.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also
like our VPN is terminated inside our internal network, just in a subnet, so it would be part of the same class of IP addresses. That's why I was confused for a moment.
Yeah, so in your case, the recommendation is to say if you have like IP for VPN specifically, separate it, tag and separate the subnets. Just tag part of the subnet which is used for the corporate IP, non-physical IPs as corporate IP, and the IP that is used for VPN as VPN.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Good, and also I don't see the chat when I speak, so if you have something to say, just say it.
I just was saying, in short, the VPN, as he was saying, is a subset of corporate, potentially just on a more specific, and it just won't be compared to for impossible travel.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so another I say common misconfiguration, and very soon we will just force it globally, but we really recommend to tune the impossible travel, activity from infrequent country, botnet associated IP address, and the anonymous proxies policies to apply only for successful logins. The reason is we don't see a lot of value to monitor a lot of success of a lot of security value to monitor failed logins, except maybe in like a lot of failed logins that may indicate that you're under some sort of brute force or process spray attack, and that should be covered under the mass fail login policy, which is a default policy, and all those policies are supposed to regard only successful logins or other, of course, other events that are not failed logins. And this is also like most of impossible travel alerts, for example, are from failed logins, and they are not, the failed logins scenarios are not actionable mostly. And what you're really interested in is seeing if you're under like a mass attack in one case, and this is like the mass fail login alert, or the other case if you have successful login, and this policy will cover you if you have successful login that apply to this scenario. And it's not recommended, but if you have like really successful scenarios that you have to, you really want to be notified on failed logins, like for specific users or something, and again, I hardly can see the value of it. So you can define activity policies. So you can handle it that way. Activity policy that apply to failed logins on like specific users, and you can set those policy to be for X amount of logins in a certain amount of time that you call. But again, it's not recommended, and staying with those policies. Only successful login and the mass fail login to cover brute force attack. This is the recommended settings, and to change it is that you just need to go to one or all of the policy, make sure the advanced configuration is marked to only successful sign-ins, and If it's not like this, it will make your life better and make you focus on the real interesting scenarios and not the non-interesting scenarios. Reduce a lot of noise. Any questions about that? Comments?
I'm not seeing the botnet policy. Is that a built-in one or is that custom?
Oh, what policies?
Botnet one.
Activity assessed from birth. It's a built-in policy. Just let me check. Maybe you have it under a different name, but I think not. So did you filter the policies on botnet and
Yeah, I'm searching under botnet under all policies and I don't see it.
So let me look at my tenant. Yeah, maybe that's the backend name. And so maybe you have it called by risky IP.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. Thanks.
Yeah, there's one login from risky IP address.
Yeah, so that's the one.
Yeah,
okay.
We have that one.
Okay. Any more questions? Cool. Move forward. As you've seen in the last slide, maybe you have like a sensitivity bar, sensitivity slide that you can choose for the policy to apply between low, medium, and high sensitivity. High sensitivity means it's system suppressions. It's some suppressions that our data scientists and security researchers team apply. For example, if we see that the user is using a common ISP or both ends of the login, that's one different. But if we see that the patterns of the usage are really common for the user, so we say, okay, you probably didn't just configured the exception for this scenario, but yeah, it's okay. We learned it. It's common for the user. It's not something suspicious. But the medium is like user suppressions. We say, okay, it's common specifically for the user, and the low is also for tenant. For example, if we say a common ISP feature, if the ISP is common for the tenant, we will suppress this alert either. And this is up to you. We don't recommend high sensitivity. I think it's too noisy. But medium can work, and if you have too many alerts, I think the low is also okay. And it's up to the noise you can handle in the tenant, but I think low is okay. Yeah, for example, like in medium, if you have like a user connecting from two IPs that are tagged in the corporate, but from other places in the world that can't be reached in the travel time, In medium, it will not raise an alert because it's okay, it's probably from the something you got from the organization. It's okay. It's not like an attacker from the outside. But if you use high, you will get alerted on it, and it's too noisy, I think. And again, I don't see the chat while I speak,
Yeah.
so
I can read them out. That's fine. The
yeah,
question is,
okay.
how can we eliminate noise from cell telecom carriers that direct traffic to different regions sometimes?
Okay, yeah. So we also recommend here the that's a good example for low, because maybe it's like common for the tenant, and we try to learn and handle if we see the same carrier and do we see it's carrier or like roaming from the same cell provider. We try to suppress on these cases. Of course, we can't 100% find them all, but I think it's quite good. And we have a lot of improvement in this area in the last year. Okay, so that's just the example of the slide, and we recommend between medium to low. Another thing, leave feedback. We improve our alerts according to feedback. Yeah, for example, the story of the failed logins. We got a lot of feedback that it's not helpful. We did like a research security review on it and decided to improve it. And the more feedback, the more good feedback we have with scenarios, it will help us tune the alerts better. It's not like when you close an alert with feedback, it's not that it will learn automatically how to handle it. We are not there yet, but we have guys that go through the feedback, and we also monitor the like the ratio of how many false positive, true positive we have, and improve the alerts according to this. So even though it won't be effective immediately change, in the long run, it's really helpful. And just to clarify the feedback legendary, true positive means true attack. Benign true positive mean a suspicious event, like okay, this is like a security test, a red team, or just well, it's good that I know about it. It's yeah, I checked it. It's not a real attack, but it's good to know that something like this happened. And if it's not suspicious at all, just mark it as false positive. And I hope you're familiar with that, but yeah, this is how you leave feedback when you close the alert. Any more questions about the feedback?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I'll talk about it more later, but we're in the progress to move our alerts to the security portal M365D. And I think at least the MCAS users can go there. It's like security.microsoft.com, and MCAS alerts are already there. They are there as alerts without all the details, and it's supposed to be in the early next year, the details of the alert. So if you click on the alert, you still go back to MCAS portal. But the really cool thing there is that they have we have like a feature there that can correlate alerts into incidents. What does it mean? It means like if we have an alert or some alerts that are with common identities or entities that are part of the alert in about the same time frame. And of course, the algorithm that correlates it is complicated, and we won't get to it now. But the thing is we can take alerts that we think are correlated and see them under the same incident. So we don't need to go alert by alert. We have all the alerts that are related in the same incident. You can see the story, you can see what happened, and you can realize the whole picture of what is going on under this incident. That means you can watch it like on the top left side. You can still watch it as incident, but as alerts, but you can watch all the alerts as incident. And you can save time and realize things better like that. If there is like a single alert that doesn't correlate to other alerts, it will still be here as like a single alert incident. So highly recommended, great feature, and I'll talk maybe in the end about future plans with that I do for WordPress. Anything about that?
So is there a plan to take MCAS and really envelop that into 365D? I mean, you know, if I stay in 365D, I don't want to flip between both sets of panels. So can I do all my management in this environment versus switching back and forth?
So this is the plan, and we plan in the beginning of 22 to have all the alerts full experience with the same experience as alerts, other alerts of other products that are in there, to be in this portal. So all the alerts and SOC experience should be there in a few months without switching portals. And the next phase after will be to move all the MCAS portal experience, including the policy and the discovery, etc., to this portal either. So we have like a single place to manage all the products and all the alerts.
All right, so managing the policies in MCAS will still be the current method until everything's merged together, and then, but you could still do monitoring and incident management through the 365D based on those alerts that come across.
Yeah, correct. And yeah, other products that should be there are MDE, that is already there, MDI, MDO, and also alerts. If you have Azure Active Directory identity protection, it will also come to there.
Okay, good.
Okay, investigation priority score. So I know it's a feature not all of you are familiar with, which is something really cool. So the logic behind it is that attackers try to hide under the alert threshold, and it's true that I know that a lot of organizations don't have the resources to hunt actively and only handle alerts. But the investigation priority score is like a hint the place where we recommend to start hunting cloud events. If there is something suspicious outside, of course, handle alerts, but accept alerts. This is the place to go to. So this is sectioned here in the dashboard, and you can open it, and like each user gets scores for the suspicious activities he's doing and for the alerts, or a suspicious event. So it's not, maybe suspicious is like a confusing word, because it's like we detect anomaly here. And if we detect the user is not is doing something that is not normal for him, or comparing to his peers or to the tenant, we score this event, and also alerts getting scores. And if we see like a user get a bump in the score, and you see here a user with high score, it's something to look at. Especially, well, maybe sometimes there will be like administrative users and so on. But if you see like something strange, someone strange going here, it's a good thing to start looking and finding what's going on. And the next thing you do is when you open the users page, you can see the scored event he had, and also the trend. What was the trend of the scores 2 weeks back? The score is calculated is like 7 days back, and you can see the 7 days before, and also where is this users placed comparing to other users in the organizations. So that's a good place to start, and you can just go into the users' activities, and if you see something suspicious, you should investigate more and contact the user. This is a demo tenant, so the scores here are quite low, and I guess if you have like suspicious users, you'll get a higher score. Questions before we move on?
Nothing in the chat at the moment.
Okay. So moving forward. So just a bit about the upcoming in MCAS in the next months. So I think just for the Q&A, I said a lot of the engineering investment, most of it actually, is going through to improve the performance and the latency we have. The data science team is working really hard on improving the alerts SNR. We specifically mentioned impossible travel, which is the source of most of the alerts, but we look at other alerts and try to improve them. So you should expect much less noise, better quality. Yeah, so I said it before, and also to the question, we're moving to M365D. We have correlations for alerts to incident, and also with other products. That's already happening. We plan to improve it and to identify the entities better. And the alert experience should be great there, and also you can enjoy M365D advanced hunting experience, write queries on your own, and create custom alerts there. And another thing we plan to do is propose more playbooks to how to resolve alerts for the different alerts types. So we won't cover it all in the next month, but it will be like alert by alert. Questions on this?
There was one, don't think it has to do with what you're talking about right now, but it said Steve Scholes. We talked about botnet, many logins, and anomaly detection, which is mentioned at the time I posted. Oh, okay, that was in response to something else I was saying, sorry. Heisen asked, any documentation manuals or how-tos you can share for best practices and specifically for impossible travel?
So I think the best practices here are shared in this deck. What I recommend, first of all, there's good documentation in the Microsoft Documentation's website, docs.microsoft.com. Go to Cloud App Security there. And another pros tip is to go. You can actually watch on YouTube. There are sessions with Mate Zossman from Microsoft that gives tips on how to work with MCAS. It's quite the videos are quite short and straightforward and really interesting. So it's a good source of information.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, Joe, also, yeah, maybe. So that's the end of the presentation. So thank you all for listening, and I think Steve, I can stay for the Q&A if there is Q&A for MCAS, and if not,
All right. Let me do this because
yeah.
some of our people are a little shy. They don't like to talk while being recorded, so I'm going to stop the recording.